And if everyone would then please join me in Anjali Gasho. Like to chant, sing the Vandanati Sarana as it's often done here in Hawaii. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Thank you, everyone. At this time to continue our program, I'd like to introduce our guest presenter. Unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond his and our control, he is not able to join us live. He is currently in Houston, Texas, and unfortunately, again, he's not able to join us. But he was very wise in that, just in case, he did provide us with a pre-recorded video of what he was planning to present. And so we do have something to share with each other today. So before we watch the video, as you know, our theme today is gratitude, Buddhist daily practice to overcome challenges while creating happiness. And our guest speaker presenter is David D. Rich, fondly known as Kauika to many who are here today. He is the owner and president of Be Rich International. He is a motivational speaker, leadership trainer, speaker, coach, and an author. He served in the military for 26 years, retiring from the U.S. Air Force as a lieutenant colonel. He has practiced Buddhism for 48 years and is a member of the Soka Gakkai International USA. He's served on the board of the Samaritan Counseling Center of Hawaii for over 5 years and currently is serving as its board president. And again, unfortunately, he couldn't join us live today, but we do have this pre-recorded video message that he did for us. But before we watch the video as Porni prepares it, I think many of us heard or just found out that Daisaku Ikeda passed away on November 15th. And many here, I think, will have close affiliations with him. And so if you maybe join me for a moment of silence in his honor, in his memory, before we watch Kauika's presentation. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Thank you. And now our presenter.
Today, I dedicate my life to world peace. To be so strong that nothing can upset the peace of my mind. To talk of health, happiness, and hope to every person I meet. To make my friends feel that there is something good and beautiful in them. To look at the sunny side of everything and to be optimistic about life. To think only the best, work toward doing and experiencing only the best. To be just as happy about the success of others as I am about my own success. To forgive my mistakes of the past and press forward to greater achievements in the future. To give so much time to improve myself that I have no time to criticize others. To be too strong for fear, too kind for anger, and too happy for worry. To lift my heart in faith so that the Gohonzon will show forth in my life. Greetings and aloha. Thank you so much for attending this Hawaii Association of International Buddhists Zoom conference. My name is David B. Rich, and it is my absolute pleasure and honor to be able to speak with you today. But first, I need to start off with an apology. If you're seeing this video, something went terribly wrong. And so we recorded this video prior to me going away to Houston. I'm on the mainland attending a personal development retreat, and we have no internet services or anything. However, I was making plans to show up for this, and hopefully you're not watching this video. But if you are, I am so honored that we have been able to create this space and that technology has come to the point to where I can still be with you and share with you how I appreciate this theme that we have today of gratitude. So our theme for this meeting is gratitude, and all my life I have realized that having an attitude of gratitude is indeed the key to overcoming and accomplishing so much. Overcoming the challenges that you have in your life, because you don't look at them as issues or problems, you look at them just as that is, challenges. And the ability to how you show up in that space is so critically important on how it will serve you. And so the topic that we're going to talk about today is, how does our daily Buddhist practice empower us in overcoming challenges while creating and establishing an indestructible happiness in our lives? And so I first want to share a little about you. Thanks so much for the bio and reading, but I want you to know a little more about who I am. I've been practicing Buddhism for over 48 years. I started when I was in high school. I was in a seminary studying to be a Catholic priest. And while I was in the seminary, the reason that I went to the seminary, first of all, is because I wanted to help people to become happy. And so I was on this quest, this mission of how I can help people to become happy. My junior year, being in the seminary, I was introduced to this practice of Buddhism. And Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism has been showing up in my life in so many different ways. But when I first started, I had told the members, I said, you do realize that I'm going back to a seminary and we go to church every day. And they said, well, did anyone tell you to do anything different? And I said, no, they didn't. They said, well, this is what you do, is just apply this. And then your life will help you to make that decision on what direction you want to go in. They said, make a list of things that you want to accomplish. And then they said something that just transformed my life. They said, and if you don't get everything on the list, then don't do it. And that part blew my mind because up to this point, I'm like, what are you talking about? Why would you say that? And they saw that I was a little confused with that statement. And then they said, why would you do something that doesn't work? Up to that point, that's what it was all about. Just do, just do, just do. But why would you do something that doesn't work? And for 48 years, after accomplishing everything that was on that list, I am still manifesting things into my life, finding more about who I am, creating the opportunities as I continue to show up in life. And I can say exactly how my life is going by the company that I keep. And it is my distinct pleasure and honor to be in this company with you today. I am so honored to be able to share my life's journey in just a short period of time, but at the same time to be able to dialogue with you to see how we all can continue to manifest the greatness in our lives. And starting with that, I'd like to share that all my life I've been kind of working on how to manifest things in our lives, how to change challenges into opportunities. And in doing so, I just recently published my first book called Manifesting Your DPS, your Dream Positioning System. Similar to a GPS, which will navigate you from one point to another geographic location, your DPS will help to navigate you towards your goals, dreams, and desires in life. And the reason I share that is because it's my Buddhist practice that has opened up the door and the opportunity for me to be able to share how we manifest this through our Buddhist practice. Although I served in the military for 26 years and being a person that's really seeking to create world peace, I was like, how do I do that by going in the military? And I realized that there's so many people that needed to understand how do they manifest things from within their life as opposed to looking outside of their lives. I needed to be in that space to help. And so I went in as a medical administrator because I felt that I can save lives versus take lives. And at that same time in that space, I'd be able to help people to navigate the challenges that they have in their own lives. And so through our Buddhist practice, we can be empowered by challenges, because one of the things that I want to share with you is in that affirmation that I said at the beginning, that affirmation is one that I say every day of my life. To be too strong so that nothing can upset the peace of my mind. What that alone means is that when some challenges comes up into our lives, that we are able to just look at them as that, and that we know we have the strength and the power and the tenacity to not let that upset the peace of my mind. And when you can create that space for yourself, then you can overcome whatever challenges and obstacles you encounter. Another one that shows up in my life is to make my friends feel that there is something good and beautiful in them. So often we go through life and we go through it looking at people in some sort of vein, and we're comparing them to us, and we're trying to see how are they doing something more than me, or we're measuring ourselves and our successes based on where other people are. But when you can put every single person on the same plane as where we are and not let ego think that you're better than anyone else, then you can help your friends feel that there is something good and beautiful in them. And then when we talk about to think only the best, work toward doing and experiencing only the best. What this means is that if I have a challenge, because I've already fortified myself with understanding that I'm only thinking the best, then I'm not looking at it from a negative standpoint. And when we start to understand that attitude of gratitude, and we start to understand that there's so many things in our lives that can help us to overcome obstacles and challenges, then we understand the importance of really creating the foundation for our life, which is our Buddhist practice. Our Buddhist practice positions us to be able to overcome so much. And knowing that our lives are so impervious that everything changes, everything transforms. So what I want to do is show appreciation, gratitude, and thanks for this very moment in time, for this piece of time, because it will change. And that's why I'm so grateful and happy to be here with you. My Buddhist practice has helped me to overcome so many challenges because I have been able to take those challenges on, and I have created them to be a stepping stool instead of a roadblock. I have positioned them to be something to help me to grow. And I was talking to a group of folks the other day, understanding that the person that you are today, the person that comes up with the dreams, the ambitions, the visions, will not be the person that will obtain those goals, those dreams and desires, because we have to transform. Everything in life is impervious. Everything changes. How are we changing? And the way that we create an indestructible happiness in our lives is by understanding that if I am good inside, I can lose all of this stuff that I may have, material and everything else. I can lose it, but if I'm inside of myself and I'm happy internally, then that is an indestructible happiness that material things will never be able to take away. And in doing so, sometimes we have to, yes, forgive our mistakes of the past to press forward to greater achievements in the future. To give so much time to improving ourselves that we have no time to criticize others. That's a powerful one, because we're always trying to criticize how other people are showing up. And in our Buddhist practice, it really kind of shares with us the fact that if these people are within your environment, then you made a cause to bring them in. You attracted them into your life. And so if we can just focus on how can I be a better citizen, human being, and practitioner of this Buddhist practice that we have, that I can, with my life, transform the world. And so this is such a wonderful time of year for me, because so often we have all of these different holidays and everything. Thanksgiving is by far my favorite holiday of the year, because of our ability to intentionally give thanks. It's one of those holidays that speaks the truth in its name, Thanksgiving. It has nothing to do with the pilgrims and all of that in my life today. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with understanding and appreciating the attitude of gratitude and understanding how that can show up in our lives. So one of the things that my Buddhist practice has positioned me for, and how we can also grow from it, is by having a vision of what it is that we truly want. Now, I have a story I want to share with you, is the fact that my father passed away several years ago. And after he had passed away, my wife and I had made the decision that we wanted to make sure that Mom was good. Why? For me, it was probably a very selfish reason. And that reason is, number one, Mom was always present in my life. My mom and dad were always present. So I don't want to take away anything from Dad at all, because he was always there. He made sure that we went on vacations all the time. We were a very strong family unit. But I went to school in Massachusetts. I was born and raised in Philadelphia, and I left school home and went to school in Massachusetts. And it's a funny thing, because whenever we had something going on at this private boarding seminary school that I went to, if something was happening, all I had to do was pick up the phone, call Mom, and it was as though I was right around the corner, because she would show up there. And this is how she showed up in our lives. She did the same for my brothers and sisters. And so when my dad passed away, my wife and I wanted to make sure that mom was good. And the selfish reason that I wanted to do it is because I knew one day I may not be able to. And so we set out to make sure that whatever she wanted to do, we did. We filled her bucket list, if that's what it was called. But anytime my mom said, you know, I always wanted to do, boom, we did it. We've been hot air balloon riding. She's been in a submarine. She's walked on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean with a oxygen helmet over her head. She went skydiving off the coast of Waikiki. We've been through the Panama Canal. We've traveled around the world. We drank champagne for New Year's in Paris, France. We've done so many things in our lives. And then when we were moving here to Hawaii, which we would not have done if mom did not want to come with us. We moved here to Hawaii and mom said, yes, I want to go too. And she absolutely loved Hawaii. She loved everything about the Hawaiian spirit of aloha. And she knew that was her spirit. As we were here in Hawaii, during COVID, mom passed away. And it was such an interesting time and dilemma because my wife was away. Our daughter was in Washington State having her first child. So because of COVID, my wife left to be with her earlier. I was home with my mother. And I remember she had gotten ill while I was there. And so I chanted. I prayed to really understand what I needed to do because bringing a nurse or someone in during COVID was not probably a good thing to do. I didn't want my mother getting COVID or anything like that. So I had to be very careful. And when I chanted, the voice came to me and said, you have to be your mother's best caregiver. And from that moment, as being understanding, it was me that had to do. I needed to empower my practice to overcome this situation. 3 days later, in the process of all of this happening, I get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and my daughter's calling me saying, Dad, it's time. Our grandchild and our daughter was in labor. I celebrated that moment and I went into my mother's room and laid down with her. At 3:56 that same morning, my mother took her last breath. When I opened my eyes at 4 o'clock, I saw that she had transitioned. It didn't hurt. I closed my eyes again and I kept telling myself, yes, what you just saw was real, but what you are feeling wasn't. I was supposed to be hurting. This was not supposed to be like this. And I opened my eyes back up again and she was beautiful. She was so at peace. And I did not hurt. I didn't hurt. And I didn't hurt because we did everything. We had no regret. She was a queen in that bed. And it's because of the vision that we have as understanding that death is a part of life. As Buddhists, we have a very unique understanding and appreciation for life, death, birth, maturity, decay. We understand how that shows up in our lives. And when we can embrace that, we can control and manage. And so that challenge really created a tremendous amount of opportunity. And with that situation, I remember talking to my mother after she had passed, and we had this spiritual conversation. And she was thanking me for all the things that Ronnie and I had done, my wife and I had done, to make her life so joyful But then she said, but it's not over yet. Now it's my turn to take y'all on a journey, take y'all on a trip. And it was at that very moment that I knew we were still traveling together. And that's the indestructible happiness that we create in our lives because of what we can do through this practice. For others, it will come back right back to you. So the beauty of this practice is by us being able to understand, just give, just give, just give all of yourself from your heart without any anticipation of return. And I will tell you, you will create the most indestructible happiness in your life that nothing can shatter it. Nothing can go wrong. And everything will move in the direction that you desire. And so I'm extremely grateful that we had this opportunity. And I'd like to really thank you for allowing me this space to share not only my life, my story, but to introduce you to my mother. Funny thing, my mother and my wife both had the same name. Their name is Veronica Rich. They go by Ronnie. They're my two Veronica bookends. And it is my absolute pleasure to be able to share the relationship and the life that we had from a position of gratitude for her being in my life, helping us to understand how to live and how to have no regret. So with that, we're going to open this up to our panel. We have a wonderful panel. We're going to have a discussion. We're going to share. We're going to talk so much more. But I really just wanted to make sure that we keep in mind that the gratitude that we share in our lives is like the current of the ocean. The more you do for other people, there's an African proverb that says the hands that oil the feet are in turn oiled by the feet. So the more that we do for others from an attitude of gratitude will always return right back to us as beautiful benefits and opportunities. Again, I'm sorry that I'm not there to be with you right now, but I hope that my words can help you to manifest all the dreams and desires that you have in your life. Thanks and good night.
On behalf of all of us here, although Kawika is not here to hear it personally, I'd like to express our gratitude to him for that presentation. But I know Veronica here, his spouse, is here with us today, and so maybe we can ask her to relay our thanks to Kawika. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our panelists from not only here in Hawaii, but from other parts of the world as well, who have joined us today. And so I'd like to briefly introduce them. I think there are introductions in the flyer program that was sent out. But I'd like to take a few minutes to again introduce them to refresh our memories. First, there is Bhikkhuni Sakya Dhammadina, who is a Theravadan Buddhist nun from India. She was ordained as a bhikkhuni at Buddha Katu Parisa Foundation in Bangkok, Thailand in 2020. Her Dhamma work is mainly aimed at establishing a well-trained bhikkhuni sangha in India for the development of women in society. She also actively brought back to the teachings of Abhidhamma, the highest Dhamma of the Buddha, to lay people. We do have some comments from her. Unfortunately, she also is not able to join us live. But we do have some comments by her which will be shared later. Another of our panelists is Callista Hansen. If you could maybe wave so people can see you, recognize you. Were raised in a family that practices Nichiren Buddhism and has been surrounded by the SGI organization and Nichiren Buddhist practice. She graduated from the San Diego State University with a degree in journalism. She is currently the social media marketing manager for a plastic surgeon here in Honolulu, Hawaii. Her goal is to create valuable content by sharing information about the process as well as how plastic surgery can help and improve people's lives. Chad Chihiro Okawa is a non-binary Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, president of the Hawaii Federation of Junior Young Buddhist Associations, and an active member of the Aiea Honganji Buddhist Temple. They are an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights in their organization. He was recently featured in an article by the Hawaii Herald. Chihiro is also an avid taiko player. He is a graduate of the Pacific Buddhist Academy and was part of the taiko ensemble, Hakuseng Kikai, and even composed some taiko pieces themselves. Chihiro currently attends the University of Hawaii at Manoa, pursuing a degree in astrophysics. Lila Edwards has had affiliations with the Kailua Shambhala Center and Tibetan Buddhism. She considers herself an open and contemplative learner. She completed her master's degree in 2013 from Naropa University in eco-psychology. She works on strategy for an architect and design firm and has been working in consulting and data-informed decision-making with the Hawaii Department of Education since 2018. She has also worked at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park and the Tongass Rainforest of Southeast Alaska. Min Tun was born in Kaneohe, Hawaii. He practices Theravada Buddhism and belongs to the Sasana Gongyi Gwaing Burmese monastery in Sacramento, California. He's a high school senior. He ranked among the top 30 high school tennis players in the US as of July 2023. At his high school, he initiated a club called A Better Future for Burma to raise awareness and funds to alleviate food insecurity among children living along the Thai-Burma border. One of his ultimate goals is to become a citizen scientist who focuses on finding treatments for neurodegenerative disorders such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Tao Lei currently serves as chair and professor in the Family Consumer Sciences Department of the University of Hawaii at Manoa. One of her favorite classes is Mindfulness and Skillful Living. She is also the author of children's books, Mindfulness with Aloha Breath and Akahai, which is kindness. She is affiliated with the Diamond Heart Foundation of the Diamond Heart Meditation Center in Honolulu, Hawaii. She again has published many books, which has been shared to and given to various social and community service organizations that serve children, youth, and families, including those in foster homes, homeless shelters, and those who are struggling with life's challenges. These are our 6 panelists who have joined us today, and we express our gratitude to them. If Kawika was here, he would be asking, asking and interacting with our panelists, but unfortunately, he's not able to do that, and so he had proposed, I guess, to our panelists to think about certain things and whatnot, and so for this portion of the program, we'd like to hear responses from our panelists on some of the things that Kawika had asked you to think about, possibly share. you may share what you would like to share, of course. But we noticed that in many of your responses, um, the one question that got the most kind of interest by our panelists and me was the question of what teachings or principles within Buddhism can be directly applied to everyday life in order to foster a more lasting sense of happiness. Again, what teachings or principles within Buddhism can be directly applied to everyday life in order to foster a more lasting sense of happiness? And so I'd like to maybe propose to our panelists if they'd like to share their response to that particular question to start us off. Anybody who's willing, please feel free to start. Or shall I call on someone?
I can start.
Please, thank you.
So I'm Leela, and I would say the teachings for just everyday living that that I draw on would be, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but just from going to Naropa, I studied a lot of Chogyam Trungpa's work, and I really have found the teachings on basic goodness to be foundational in my ability to kind of synchronize with life's ups and downs, because it helps me to draw on my internal experience and inside finding a place that is basically good, and not kind of living with the assumption that something's wrong with me deep inside, or I have to hide or be defensive. So just in general, basic goodness combines the qualities of heaven, earth, and human. Basic goodness of heaven, basic goodness of humans, and basic goodness of earth are all involved at once. Basic goodness includes generosity and bravery. There is also a notion that all things are round. And I find that, because especially as an eco-psychologist, there's something about syncing with the basic goodness of the sun comes up, the sun goes down. It's basically good. That the universe, it's like a law of the universe that I can trust and rest my mind in. It's not necessarily a value judgment of goodness. It's that everything kind of works, and I don't have to think about it. I can trust and not. I don't have to defend myself against the sunrise. I can trust it. So I'd say it's a type of healing by synchronizing. So.
Thank you, Leela. Yes. Anyone else? Go ahead, Chad. Yes.
So hello, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to be on this panel today. It's an honor. But for this question, I think that, especially in our Mahayana tradition of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, one of the teachings, I kind of think of it more as a philosophy, is interdependence or interconnectedness. And it's this idea that we all depend on one another to survive or to coexist. In Japanese, there's a phrase, okage samade, or it literally means standing honorably in your shadow, but we can interpret it as we are who we are because of the sacrifices and dedication of those around us. So I think that the thing that encourages us to thrive to this day, or what to apply, is that everything, the people around us help us with our success and what we do today. So yeah.
Thank you, Chad. Any other panelists? I have a response from Bhikkhuni. Um, Again, she's not able to join us from India, and so she did respond with this answer to that question. And she says, and I'll quote her, "We know that the words of the Buddha is in the Tipitaka, which is 84,000 Dhammakandas, and all the teachings are important to attain ultimate happiness. But it is not easy to develop all the qualities or principles at once. We must go through them step by step. The first step for lay Buddhist practitioner is to follow the 5 precepts. The 5 mindfulness trainings are the basic statement of ethics and morality in Buddhism. They include protecting life, acting with generosity, behaving responsibly in sexual relationships, speaking and listening deeply and mindfully, and avoiding substance abuse. Some other teachings and principles to apply in daily life include training the mind to be mindful of what is said and done, studying how the world works and acting accordingly, feeling compassion towards others, enjoying the little things, being happy for others, meditating on patience, and reciting prayers daily. There are some circumstances which happens in our daily life. How should we deal with them in our daily life is the most important question for all. So what we have to do is, upon waking and before getting up, we should feel incredibly happy and grateful that we're still alive, ready to face a new day. We set a strong intention to make the day meaningful, not waste the precious opportunity we have to work on ourselves and to help others. If we have to go to work, we make up our minds to try and be concentrated and productive. We won't get angry, impatient, or grumpy with our coworkers. We'll be friendly with everyone, but won't waste people's time with meaningless chatter and gossip. If we're looking after our family, we resolve not to lose our patients, but to take care of their physical and emotional needs the best we can with loving care. An example that most of us can identify with is when someone at work or home criticizes us or does something that really annoys us. We should remember that yelling doesn't help and try to calm down through focusing on the breath. Recall that everyone wants to be happy and not unhappy, but that most people are confused and act in ways that bring problems. Generate the wish for them to be happy and have the causes of happiness. Point out the negative effects of their behavior if they're open to our advice and ask them to stop. If they're totally unresponsive, remain silent and take the incident as a lesson in patience. Still, we should never stand by passively if we can end some kind of disturbance. Make at least a merit every day. You can listen Dhamma, see the Sangha, visit the Vihara, make offerings, help others, chant or meditate, etc. Do at least one of the above activities. Before we sleep at night, we should review the day's events and see how we've dealt with them. Did we lose our temper or say something foolish? If so, we regret that we weren't able to control ourselves, and then, without any sense of guilt, resolve to do better tomorrow. We should also note when we've handled situations wisely and kindly. We rejoice in that and resolve to continue further in that direction. We then go to sleep, looking forward to tomorrow, when we can continue working on ourselves and helping others. We can feel really happy that we're making our precious lives so meaningful. Are the words from Aya Sakya. Tao? Yes, please, go ahead.
I won't be so eloquent as that, but I can reflect on I can reflect on my own experience as well as my students at UH Manoa. So I've got a lot of students that takes the course on mindfulness. And one of the principles that we often talk about is the Buddhist principle of impermanence. Because the Buddha says that we have 3 great teachers. We have old age, we have sickness, and we have death. And we often forget that these are our greatest teachers to remind us that the fragility of life and the impermanence of, for instance, I can't see very well now because I'm getting old. My eye and my vision is like, oh my God, I'm getting old, right? And so we always, when we're young, we have, really good vision, and we forget that, no, it's gonna pass. And then sickness, we went through COVID pandemic, and I've got some vertigo going on, and for a long time I hadn't had any problem. And then I've got a lot of students, and they're 18, 19-year-old, and like all sorts of illness. And I wonder why are they challenged by these physical as well as emotional challenges? And so that to savor when you are well, to really savor those experiences, because sickness and as well as health is going to pass. And then of course we have death, but we forget that we actually die every day. Every cell, like my butt cell right now, my cheek cells, they're transpiring every day, right? And they're changing, and we forget that we are experiencing actually each moment is also a death. And each time we breathe, we forget how wonderful and beautiful the breath is. So because death is right there, who knows what could happen next? So part of the gratitude, and bring it back to gratitude, is really to remember the Buddha's teaching and the three greatest teacher of how wonderful it is in each and every moment, and not to take it for granted.
Thank you, Tao. Yes. Thank you for sharing very beautifully. And I think in a way that, yes, we could all immediately connect. Thank you. Any of our other panelists, please feel free to, move on to another question if you wish, or, that you may have wanted to share about.
Hi, I'm Min, and
Yes.
I'm just really grateful to be a panelist here today. And I'm a Theravada Buddhist, so I don't have much to add, except that one of the main fundamental teachings I think that influences the daily life is metta, which is compassion and loving kindness. So I think when you practice compassion and loving kindness towards others and treat others in a way that want to be treated, it reduces the negativity that's in the environment. And that reduction of negativity really creates like meaningful connections with other people, which can really be a source of strength during difficult times. And another thing would be acceptance. So by accepting like the situation of the things as they are, without resisting or clinging, and like Tao Li said about impermanence, to just accept each living moment and appreciate each living moment. I think it really allows for one to be grateful about every living moment. And I think that's really important, to be, content in their everyday life. So thank you.
Thank you, Min, for your sharing. I can't see everybody, and so I'm wondering, is Krista here?
I don't think she's here.
She's not
She
here.
has to, she has to go to the business, travel to the mainland. Probably the same with Kawika, no internet. She said she would try.
I see.
However, just want to alert everyone that Aya Pikuni Sakya, she has a sore throat. However, you can see that she listened in. You can see her photo, toward the bottom of the this gallery view. Pikuni Sakya Dhammadina. Thank you, Namaskaran Pikuni. Thank you so much. She has a problem with sore throat, so she sent in those response in writing. Yeah, so you can see she joined in, but she couldn't speak. So you can see her that she is. Okay, could you please wait? Yeah.
Sadhu. I cannot speak much because I'm having sore throat, but I'm listening everybody, and the program is going so well. I just want to show everyone that I am in Saranath, the place where the Buddha gave his first sermon, and you can get the blessings of the Bodhi tree in a Sri Lankan temple from Sri Lanka. The daughter of Sanghamitta brought from India. So just get the blessings of the Bodhi tree and the 5 bhikkhus, the first ceremony, please.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, Aya.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm listening to everybody. Please keep going on.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that was a special extra treat, I think, for us here today. So, thank you to Bhikkhu. Yes. Maybe on behalf of Kawika, but also maybe I'll toss out another thought that he had of our panelists sharing on a reflection on how does the practice of gratitude and appreciation as a means to establish a more enduring sense of joy in their lives. How do Buddhists, practice gratitude and appreciation, or how does gratitude and appreciation establish a more enduring sense of joy in your life? Oh, yes, Tao, yes, please.
I'll be happy to share.
Okay.
So I am in the College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources. So people are like, what is human development, which is my program and unit, is actually doing in the College of Tropical Ag. But it's very relevant because I've got colleagues who work with pests and invasive species. And with respect to gratitude, we've got a lot of invasive species that comes and invade our mind. And we need to be pest controllers to make sure that we are attentive, because if we don't know how to do pest control, the invasive species such as greed, hate, delusions, envy, jealousy, it's going to take over. And those are hindrances to the ability to cultivate contentment and appreciation. So I work in the area of farmer stress, and my colleagues in the pest and invasive species, they deal with like techniques to deal with the biological pests. And so I say we need to do pest control for our pesty minds sometimes.
Thank you, Tao. That was very clever. Maybe some of us will borrow that when we share our messages. Thank you. Would any of our other panelists like to share something on how gratitude or appreciation?
I'd like to
adds
share something,
Yes, Lina.
kind of riffing a little bit from Kavika. One of the things I actually had wanted to talk about with gratitude, especially in the work that I've been doing, is grief. And to me, grief work and community grief work in particular is like a way that gratitude grows from the heart in a there's a depth that comes from grief. And I found it interesting that he spoke of his parents' death, and that it was from his parents' death that he found the peace of mind every day. He didn't, and to me, there's grief work there. There's grief as a foundation of a depth of understanding of the peace of mind, and really not avoiding those teachers like death and illness and like one of the other, there's a great kind of writer and teacher, Francis Weller, who talks about the gates of grief, and one of them is kind of getting like that which you expect that you didn't get is a cause of grief. And I feel like Buddhist teachings help to cultivate a mind that isn't generating we're generating a lack of happiness by not, weeding, as Tal was saying. So there's like a way to contemplate, so our desires and our expectations aren't running the show. And I feel like that's where the Buddhist teachings help to bring in like a sense of happiness and contentment, and well, maybe more like I think he said peace of mind that he sustained, no regret after something like the death of his parents, which is I thought interesting that he brought up. To me, that was probably the most powerful part of understanding gratitude, was that it came from that kind of grief.
Thank you, Leela. Yeah, well, as a facilitator, I'm not supposed, I don't think it's my role to share anything, but maybe just briefly, I'd like to kind of share. Recently, I was asked to participate in an interfaith at an interfaith gathering, and to share a story from from my tradition, from the Buddhist tradition. And I decided to share the story of Kisa Gotami, when she lost her child and so forth, and went to the Buddha, the wicked one, for to way to save her child and so forth. And of course, we all know the outcome. But the reason I sort of chose that particular story again was to try to emphasize or share with the interfaith group, I think, our Buddhist perspective on impermanence and change, birth, old age, sickness and death, and so forth, and how it is a very natural part of our life. And I kind of, because it's very different, I think, again, as you mentioned, many times from the perspective that's prevalent in our society here in the West. And so I thought it could make a huge difference in people's lives with that awareness, understanding, and so forth. And I remember reading, Ajahn Brahm, was it? He mentioned, what he experienced when he was in Thailand. That I guess he visited a community in Thailand, and which was, I guess, had not been exposed. Perhaps it sounded like to Western values and perspectives, and for them, death and dying was just such a natural part of life that they experienced no grief, according to him. And I thought, wow, that's something that could probably blow the minds of all those who work here in the West on the grief process or therapy, and things like that. That that grief could not necessarily not be something that everyone has to experience, right? Although the way we are, I guess, educated and grown up here, I think inevitably most of us will. But again, here, how the Buddhist tradition with its teachings, I think, can truly make a difference. And so I wanted to share that with our interfaith, for those who have gathered for this interfaith gathering. And I've been continuing to work with a little bit with the medical community too, and again trying to integrate spiritual care into medical care, healthcare. Yeah, hopes of really caring for the entire individual. But again, as all of our speaker Kawika and panelists have shared, again, how what a tremendous difference, I think, the Dhamma, the Dharma can certainly make. Not necessarily asking everyone to become Buddhist, but even if they're not, if they're able to embrace, I guess, what it's trying to share with us, its wisdom, its compassion, can certainly make a difference. Again, sorry, kind of, Tao? Yes.
If it's okay, I'd like to add because this relates to
sure.
Lila's question and what you just shared too. Because so my grandmother, she was married to my grandfather for more than 60 years. She was married when she was 17, because back in Vietnam, you get married really young, and she only had a 6th grade education. But they had a very loving, tremendously beautiful relationship. And when he passed away, she didn't shed a single tear. She was completely at peace, and she's a steadfast, devoted Buddhist practitioner. Everybody else, her kids, her, you know, my uncles and my mom, my uncles, everybody else was crying, but and then doing the funeral, she was actually consoling everyone else. Don't worry, he had a beautiful life, you know, he died completely in peace. So she was utterly at peace. And my mom could not believe how strong my grandmother was, because she did not cry a single tear, because she was so at peace and had no regrets for the life she had with her husband.
Thank you, Tal, for sharing a very personal story, and it connected beautifully directly with Kawika had shared with us earlier. I think as part of his presentation. And Veronica, yes, your lives. I think, yeah, what Tal just shared about, her mom. I think, yeah, exactly the same story. I think, yeah, how the Dharma can really truly make a difference. Thank you for sharing. I guess, yes, any of our panelists, is there something else totally separate from the questions or things we've been talking up until now? Is there something that you'd like to share with us? Your thoughts?
I think kind of along the same line of topic, just adding on to what Reverend Matsumoto and Leela said, is that, I think gratitude like really promotes contentment in one's everyday life, which allows for, one to quench the cravings or clinging that they have to the material possessions and the world around them. So I think by doing so, you're really able to find fulfillment in the current moment, which allows you to cultivate meaningful connections with those around you, because every moment that you have with them, you don't know if that's your last moment with them. So I think just being more in tune with the connections and the people around you instead of fixating on material possessions is very important. And I think a practice that can help for having cultivating gratitude within one's everyday life is maybe before you go to sleep, just note a few things throughout the day that you're grateful for. Just note and mindfully note a few things that you're grateful for. And I think that really helps to cultivate gratitude and appreciation, and really, makes use of the teachings of the Dhamma. Thank you.
Thank you, Min. Yes, I think that's a wonderful idea. Sort of reflecting at the end of the day, so to speak, to think about what one was grateful for, during the day. I remember, yes, the head of schools at the Pacific Buddhist Academy, Mr. Piper Toyama, he used to encourage that the students to kind of keep a gratitude journal, I guess, to kind of jot down things, yeah, that they're grateful for. And then I guess later on he asked them to kind of go back to it and kind of see, yeah, what they had listed, and things like that. And so I think Chad may remember, Mr. Toyama saying those things over at PBA. So again, yes, gratitude. Yes, I think it is. I think life's transforming. It's not a mere thank you or words of appreciation only. Yeah, that really, and not only just an emotion, but it really is, or it can be a motivational, inspirational force that can really transform our lives and to transforming one's own life, so to speak. Yeah, also touch the lives of others. I think gratitude can be such a powerful force. I know we at this time, I know we were supposed to entertain questions from our viewers for Kawika to answer, but since he's not here, I guess I don't know if Kawika would mind, but if there are a few questions maybe that our audience has or wants to ask him, maybe you could type it in the chat. And with Ronnie, Veronica's help, maybe or Porny could possibly do it. Maybe we can forward it to him and somehow maybe figure out a way. Maybe it could be posted on our website. I don't know, Porny, what do you think?
That is a good idea. Yeah. And then yeah, Veronica, the other end of the book and how Kavika could be able to have let him know. When is he coming back, Ronnie?
Tuesday.
Or Tuesday. Yeah, Ronnie also just returned and she had problem with speaking as well. So because the weather. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, anyone has questions?
Yes,
We
if you
can
have a,
ask the panelists also. Yeah.
yes, that's true. Maybe yes, maybe we could if we could ask if everyone here, if you want to share something to Kawika, please write it in the chat so we can get it to him. But yeah, maybe at this time, if our viewers, if you have something you would like to ask our panelists who are here, please feel free to do so. That way we can get an immediate response, I believe. So if anyone would like to, again, ask our panelists something, or comment on perhaps what they've said, please feel free to do so. Yes, Tao.
Panelists have a question for the other panelists. I see, I see there's only two, and this is supposed to be for young under 45, and I see most of us are, I think, probably 45 and older. I don't want to assume, maybe 3 of us are under 45, but I'm really curious, how do we get more young people? Because I hear what you're saying, Min. There's a term, survival of the fittest, but I say that what you just said, it was thriving of the wisest, and we need to have more young people to thrive in a wise direction. So I'm curious to know, how do we get more of you guys or your friends, or well, because you went to the Buddhist Academy, but not everyone's going to have access to these beautiful teachings. And what are ways that you think to make the young people the teachings more accessible, particularly in Hawaii?
Man, what's the name of your school?
Over in Sacramento, my school is called Sasana Gunyichang. So it's a
That's a nice
Theravada
school.
Buddhist monastery. So, truthfully, outside of my monastery, I haven't had many encounters with other people my age who are, open or interested in Theravada Buddhism. But I would say that an easy way to just spread awareness would be, in school, maybe creating a club if there's like-minded people in your high school, just to, raise awareness about the teachings of the Dhamma and the Buddha. Just, to spread like the main themes of, gratitude and appreciation, and just focusing on the positive aspects that it could bring to one's everyday life. So not necessarily emphasizing the fact that one has to be Buddhist to appreciate, all of these teachings. But I think the main thing to emphasize is that anybody can appreciate these teachings, whether they are, a Buddhist or not. And I think that would really help other young people to get involved. So, yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for that question. If I'm being quite honest, that's been a question that's been kind of overlapping in our sect of Buddhism as well. We've had talks about membership and how to bring youth into our organizations. As mentioned earlier, I am the president of the Hawaii Federation of the Junior Young Buddhist Associations, which is from we increased the age range from middle schoolers to about 2 years in college. So the question is how to compete with other activities, such as like maybe some people have sports, some people have other commitments. So it's a little different from back in the day when junior YBA we would have events or conventions that would have like 500 people total back in the day. Now we only have 50, 60 at most. So it's a matter of a commitment, but also it's kind of like, how can we kind of, as mentioned earlier, how can we promote Buddhism to the other people? How can we, as a religion, kind of outsource ourselves? So I think for us, what we've tried to do is we've tried to become more in the way of times. As mentioned, we talk about impermanence and how things always change. In the past, our organization has done many different things. We've had resolutions about LGBTQIA and how to be more accepting. We've had things regarding age and how we've opened it actually to outside of Honganji and temple members. So if maybe if other members had friends and they want to join the club, they can do that without joining a temple and maybe be involved with that later on. But I think the great thing about Buddhism or our sect at the minute is that we think of it as a way of life or a philosophy rather than a step-by-step things to do. So I think that really kind of helps to increase awareness of the thing. But yes, it's an issue that to this day we're still trying to find an answer to.
Thank you, Chad, and also Min. And Tao, yes, thank you for that question. I think early on when we were planning this program too, even among the committee members, we were thinking, yes, we wanted a young panelist. And so it's like, what's young? And so forth. So I think in a way, it does kind of reflect, I guess, yeah, our respective groups and organizations where the number of younger people, I think, is very few, and so the definition or the age of young kind of goes up and up and up. And so, but again, I think it is a question that many of us are grappling with. Yeah, and again, the teachings are very relevant and meaningful, and yet how, I guess, could we share more of it so that more people's lives, including young people, so they can really fully blossom.
So we have one question on the chat from Clive with word BDK.
Oh,
Can
okay.
gratitude have a negative side? That is attachment to people who offer things we are grateful for, and aversions to people who don't offer us things we are grateful for. So, Clyde, you want Kawika to answer that, or you want people in the panel?
No, it's for anyone who wants to speak on the subject. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you, Clyde. So, Reverend Eric.
I would say probably my response would be that gratitude itself doesn't have a negative side to it. However, it could be my attachments that produces maybe a negative result, so to speak. Maybe the teaching of dana perhaps is something that comes to my mind at this point, in which we don't the purity, right, of dana, in which there's no attachment to giving, no attachment to what is being received, and no attachment to what the object or whatever is the dana, so to speak. So that would kind of be my response as to reflect upon in response to this question that has been poised. Oh, I do see Kawika.
Yeah, Kawika is here. Welcome, Kawika. You can unmute, and so you get the question.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. Welcome. Nice to see you.
Yes.
And hear you. Well, we heard you, but nice to see you.
Anyway, there's a question. Can you see on the chat, or I can read it to you, Kawika? Can gratitude have a negative side? That is, attachments to people who offer things we are grateful for, and aversions to people who don't offer us things we are grateful for.
Can you read that one more time?
Okay. Okay. Can gratitude have a negative side? So sometimes we attach to people who offer things we are grateful for. and then aversion from people who don't offer us things we are grateful for. So I think, I don't know, is Kai still here? It look like he said, yeah.
Hey,
Are
Kalika.
you
Hi, nice
okay?
to meet you. Yeah. So basically, my question is like, are there any negative side effects from the concept of gratitude? Basically, the dangers of, our attachments and our aversions create suffering, right? They create karma, create suffering. And so I'm wondering if there are, like, because certain people in our lives, we're maybe more grateful for than other people. And that creates maybe some conflict. And well, I think you understand what I'm talking about. Maybe you want to take it
Yes,
from there.
yes.
Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, so the people that are in our lives are there because we've attracted them to our lives. And a lot of times when we're not feeling that person, first of all, gratitude is one of the things that you may have heard a saying, never look a gift horse in the face. And the reason being, a gift horse, anything that someone's gifting to you or anything, regardless. So when people used to look at horses to tell whether it's a good horse or not, they would look in their mouth. They would open their, look at their teeth and everything like that. But if someone gifts you with something, then you don't look a gift horse in the face. You don't look for that. You just accept it with gratitude, regardless whether it was a good horse or not. You accept that with gratitude. But the thing is that a lot of times we give things meaning because of our own programs and where we are. And the people that are in our environment, we have to understand and accept the fact that we've attracted them to us. They're in our environment because of the energies that we put out of our own life. And so if there's a situation to where you're not connecting with someone, the best way to address that is look inside yourself to identify what is it inside your life that is causing that feeling. And so if someone gifts you something and someone that you don't care for is, then that's something that we have in our own lives. And that's something that we have to challenge. That's where our prayer comes in first. Our prayer comes into being able to establish a relationship and understanding with everyone that comes into our life. And sometimes people come into our life and we don't, and we chastise them. I used an analogy of a clear water bottle. If you have a bottle of water and it is clear, at the bottom of that bottle, there's some dirt that's settled. But because it's settled, the bottle is very clear. And so you have this clear bottle, you can see it through it, you can see across from it. Someone comes into our life and they agitate that bottle and they start shaking the bottle up and everything. And now that dirt has surrounded and made the bottle very muddy, unclear, mucky, and you just can't see. And the first thing we do is we say, you came into my life and disrupted my life. But from a Buddhist perspective, we understand that that person that agitated the bottle did not do anything other than expose our own karma, expose the dirt that was already in our lives that we were settled for, expose something that allows us now to see that it exists. And now we can do something about it. Now we can transform it. And so because of that, we have to have gratitude for that person that we thought we were chastised because you came in my life. Now my life is all muddy and cloudy. But from a Buddhist perspective, we are grateful that they've allowed us to illuminate something that now we can work on. Does that help?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well,
I
thank you,
like that
Clyde.
answer.
Thank you, Clyde, for the question. And yes, and Koika, thank you for the response. I guess maybe Koika, since you are here, we did show your presentation, of course, and our panelists, I thought were wonderful in their responses and so forth. And I think it'd be wonderful if there's something, I guess, you'd like to share more with us, or if there's something you'd like to, share with the group since you are here.
I think that the topic that we had this evening, how we can use our Buddhist practice to overcome challenges while creating an indestructible happiness in our lives. I think that the timeliness of this at Thanksgiving gives people that don't normally seek appreciation and gratitude an opportunity to realize it's so important. Thanksgiving is one of our favorite holidays, and we really feel that it's an opportunity for us to even raise our banner higher, to really show appreciation just for. And so many times we have an environment around us. We have people that come into our environment and we don't show appreciation. And when we don't show appreciation for those that are in our environment, like I said, even those that seem like they're advocates or they're creating chaos in our environment, we have to have appreciation for them, because on the same hand, that in return is showing appreciation for our own lives. And that doesn't mean that you don't want to challenge and change and correct things that are going on in your life. But the fact is that we have to acknowledge that this is my life. Our environment and the people that are in our environment are a true reflection of who we are as a human being. And if you don't like what that reflection looks like, then we use our and to elevate our condition. That enter the room even before we come into the room. And when we can understand the power of that we put out, it allows us to really more insane we want. If you go and you look in the mirror in the morning and you look at that mirror and you see that your hair hasn't been brushed, or you see that you got sleep in your eyes, then you Oh, can you still hear me? I lost my signal for a second. I'm not sure what happened. When we come back in front of the mirror, it still looks the same. But as soon as you make a change to brush your hair or to wash your face, that reflection in the mirror immediately transforms. And that's what we have to understand. Our lives are like that mirror. Once we change something from within, and we have to be able to see, you can't see yourself if you're in the picture. If you're in the frame, you cannot see yourself. Sometimes we need people that are outside of the frame to be the mirror for us. And so when they can share with us that, and we can see, hey, this about us or that's about us, then we have to accept that with an ability of appreciation to say thank you, and then see if that is something that you see and recognize in your own life. But many times what we do is we get angry or we chastise them for pointing us out or calling us out. But the fact is that they are in our environment to help us to grow. And that's why we have to have that appreciation. As soon as you change inside, just like the mirror in the bathroom, your environment changes outside. And that's why we can overcome challenges, we can overcome difficulties, we can overcome all of these things that are going on in our life by understanding that life is causality. Anything that affects you, you made a cause for it. When something affects us in our life, we made that cause. We made a cause for it. And so we have the power to transform it. We have the responsibility to transform it. But so often we tend to point fingers. My wife and I always tell people, if you're pointing a finger at someone, there's three others pointing right back at you. And so when we start to understand that we have to take accountability and responsibility for what goes on in our lives, then we can grow from that standpoint. My wife and I have been married for 36 years, and never, ever, when something has gone wrong in our family, in our household, have we pointed fingers at each other, because we understand the innate responsibility that we have for taking responsibility of the effect that it has on us and the responsibility that we brought to that party. And so when you start to do that, when you start to understand that transcendental responsibility that we have, then we are able to understand how, within looking at ourselves and within managing and controlling the things that are within us that's creating our environment, how we can create that indestructible happiness, because we know where the strength and the power comes from. And that's why our Buddhist practice is so important, not only for ourselves, but to share it with other people so that they too can do the same. If we don't share, then people will continue going through life realizing and thinking that there's the environment that's creating the problems in their life, not themselves. Does that make sense? There we go. Any other questions
Thank
on
you,
that topic?
Kalika. Does anyone else have a question, perhaps for Kawika?
Trying to get to a quieter and more lit place. There we go. Any other question?
If not,
You know, one
yes,
other
go
thing
ahead.
that I would share that I think is really exciting and thing that has really transformed my life as of late is I had mentioned earlier in my intro that I had to record, is I had written a book called Manifesting Your DPS. And in that book, it really takes on our Buddhist principles of how we connect that oneness with the universe. And when we're able to connect ourselves and be in alignment with the universe, anything, impossibilities vanish. And so I think, as more importantly for us as Buddhist practitioners, we have to understand that alignment that we have with the universe, as we tap that alignment, as we tap that association, as we understand the spirituality of our lives, impossibilities vanish. Impossibilities are able to just disappear. Everything is possible. We learn that there's resources all around us, and we have to understand that through our Buddhist practice, we just have to be more resourceful. Anything that you want in your life, you can accomplish. Anything that you want to obtain, you can have. But it's being in alignment with that universal connection that we have. And that universal connection is within our prayer. If you're going to pray, don't worry. If you're going to worry, why are you praying? Trust your prayer. Trust the things that you want in your life. Challenge those. And then when you see that the reason that you're not obtaining them is because of your own fears, internal fears, then that's where we have to tap into our Buddhist practice. That's when we have to tap into what it is to really shine, to allow our light to shine, to allow the things to manifest in our lives, because we are definitely worth it. We are put on this earth because of it. We are here to help others to do the same. You know, there's a poem that says, it's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. So often we are so fearful of allowing our light to shine And I think it's very, very important that when we pray to create that indestructible happiness. So if I lost everything, I'm okay. I can rebuild, I can redo, but it's not so connected that I can't survive. Because I have this practice, I can overcome any challenges that I face. And when you can go into your day understanding that nothing is in my life that I cannot succumb because of my practice, because of my belief, because of my understanding of my Buddhist prayer, nothing will hurt me. Nothing will cause me to be disassociated. When you understand that you have the power through your prayer to overcome, then use your prayer, use your practice, and expand the world, because it's one heart at a time. Once you understand it, share it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kawika. Thank you so very much. Any other questions? Or I know we're slowly winding down, but our panelists maybe, is there a last word or something that you'd like to share with us before we conclude?
I just wanted to thank Barney for inviting me onto the panel and seeing everyone from Habe again. And thank you, Kavika. I really enjoyed your talk. And thank you to the other panelists and all the participants. Yeah, it was very nice to kind of dedicate this evening to thinking about gratitude. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lila. And maybe we can go around and say one thing about one sentence. What did we take away from this program? I can begin. What I did take away is that, being a Buddhist, the main thing is just to look into yourself. Looking from within. Reverend Eric, your turn.
I would probably ditto what you just said, Barney. I think the reflection part, especially self-reflection, I think that Buddhism emphasizes is something sometimes challenging, well, all the time probably challenging because of my ego. But I think, it's can make a huge difference along with the gratitude, which, as I mentioned earlier too, I think is a life-transforming force.
Right. Kathy, I know you have good idea. Could you share with us? Kathy Kaufman? She's not there. Okay, Reverend Carrie, we go with K. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Unmute, yeah.
First of all, thank you very much to Kavika for your presentation and to the panelists for their comments. My key takeaway is that across all of the Buddhist traditions, gratitude is core. That we are brought to an awareness that we're really not worthy of the gifts, the blessings, and the people in our lives. And because we're so busy all the time in the modern world, we tend to forget. So it's important to just take a moment and reflect upon the things that you're grateful for. And also in the Honganji tradition, it's important to express this gratitude. So you have to say it or express it in some way. It's one thing to feel gratitude. It's another thing to say it. And as a practice, I like to encourage particularly our young children, the preschoolers, try saying thank you 10 times today. Try saying mahalo 10 times today. And the kids being very smart, they always pop up and say, gee, Sensei, that's easy. Mahalo, 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 mahalo. We're done. Okay, so anyway, don't try to be too profound with kids, but mahalo, thank you to all of you for creating this opportunity.
Yeah. Kathy came back on. Okay, Kathy.
Hi, thank you so much. I really appreciate everything that's been said. I really enjoyed, but plus what everyone else said, I really enjoyed, you know, this frank discussion about ego. And, you know, that part of our practice is to see it, be aware of it, and be aware of reducing it. I don't hear that message too often, and I appreciated hearing that. Thank you, Kavika.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Reverend Eric. I'm trying to invite people to say one last thing.
No, yes. If anybody else, yes. Please feel free to share. Oh, Juan, I think Juan had
Swan?
her.
Oh, yeah, Swan.
Yes.
Yeah, Swan. Yeah, Swan.
Soon, excuse me.
Soon you have to, okay.
Yeah. I really appreciate Ming Hu telling that he give thanks every night. I used to wake up and give thanks every morning to have a roof on my head and to be healthy. But I forget to say thank at night too. So I will remember to say thank you at night, to be grateful at night too. It's a good thing. To fall asleep with. So I really appreciate the panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for you guys to tuning in as well. And I just wanted to give a special thanks to, Koika for your talks and your recording. And something that I learned today from your talk was that to be appreciative of the people around you, even if you might perceive them as a negative influence in your life, and to just recognize them as, uncovering the karma, your karma that's already pre-existing. So thank you for that. And thank you to Auntie Parani for having me on the show today as a panelist, and for Reverend Matsumoto to facilitate the discussion. Just thank you and mahalo.
Well, thank you, Min, for participating from California. I know there's a time difference as for some of our other speakers as well, participants as well. Thank you who are participating from a different time zone. Including Koika, right? What time is it there in Houston?
It's about
I think it's like 9:30 or so. Almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Thank you, Kawika, for making an effort to come. Yeah, to be with us. Yeah. Okay, so it's time to wrap up.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, as we do near the time of our closing, at this time, I guess the party, you're gonna show the Metta Sutta?
Yes, and then before then, because I know how to handle that. The recording now, the chat screen with the sound. So if I know that the time is about 6 o'clock, we can close it first, and the chant is beautifully from the Pikuni, International Pikuni, and I would like to apologize that my technology is not, up to the par yet. Anyhow, if anyone would like to stay on after we close it, the Metta Sutta reading by our guest Glenda, and so please stay on. I will make an attempt to show that, because you already have the text to go with that. Is that okay, Reverend Eric?
Oh, okay, sure. Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Yes. Then,
Okay.
may I call on Glenda?
Yeah, Glenda is
Please,
here, so I
guess
think
for
to
the recitation of the Metta Sutta.
Right. Okay. Glenda is here. Okay. I'm to share the screen, and then Glenda. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Should I start?
Yeah, please, Glenda.
Okay. May all beings be happy. May they be joyous and live in safety. All beings, whether weak or strong, in high or middle or low realms of existence, small or great, visible or invisible, near or far, born or to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, nor despise any being in any state. Let none by anger or hatred wish harm to another. Even as a mother, at the risk of her life, watches over and protects her only child, so with a boundless mind should one cherish all living things, diffusing love over the entire world, above, below, and all around, without limit. So let each cultivate an infinite goodwill toward the whole world.
Thank you, Glenda. And so it's formally, and then I will go back to share the screen for our chanting. I think I still should have it up here yet.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, everyone, especially Kawika. Thank you for your presentation, and panelists also. Thank you for your participation today. We truly appreciate it on behalf of HAVE. Thank you so very much. I don't know if this is appropriate, but we'd like to encourage everyone to join HAVE or renew your membership. And so we can see each other again on a future occasions. So, thank you very much. And I guess, yes, Pernia.
Yes, yeah, I will make an attempt to show. Somehow this one is called
Enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. This is the first teaching of the Tathagata on attaining to unexcelled perfect enlightenment. Here is the perfect turning of the incomparable wheel of truth, inestimable wherever it is expounded in the world. Disclosed here are two extremes, and the middle way with the four truths and the purified knowledge and vision pointed out by the enlightened One. Let us chant together this discourse, proclaiming the supreme, independent enlightenment that is widely known as setting in motion the wheel of the Dhamma. Thus have I heard that the Blessed One was staying at Varanasi, residing in the Dhamma. There he spoke to the five bhikkhus thus: these two extremes should not be followed by one who has gone forth. Sensual indulgence which is low, vulgar, ignoble, and unprofitable, and self-torture which is painful, ignoble, and unprofitable. By avoiding these two extremes, the Tathagata has realized the middle way, which gives rise to vision and knowledge, which leads to calm, insight, enlightenment, and to Nibbana. And what is the middle way? Realize compassion and knowledge, which leads to calm